Okay guys, we have tested the RTX 4060 a couple of videos back and we found out that it was but not in a bad way. It actually ran pretty much everything we threw at it. Now, what if we want to go a bit cheaper and save some extra bucks? Well, that's where the RX 7600 steps in. Depending on the weather, it can be cheaper by approximately 30 to 50 euros than the 4060. But are you actually getting a good card for the price? Starting off with Counter-Strike, just for funsies, I threw in maxed out settings for a benchmark run and things weren't looking smooth, I'd say. But yeah, if you're actually playing CS like every other human being on the planet, which is basically on medium preset at best, you'd be looking at an average of 335 FPS on 2K resolution and solid 170 FPS 1% lows, and bringing it down to 1080p, you'd be getting around 360 to 370 frames per second with around the same 170 1% lows. And I've got some good news for the e-boys and e-girls, cause on Valorant using max settings, the RX 7600 did not disappoint. We also got really solid benchmark results on 1080p medium, where we were able to get around 490 FPS with 240 being our 1% lows, and on 1440p it actually performed quite similarly, averaging around 480 FPS with almost identical 1% lows at 235. Fortnite, on the other hand, unfortunately doesn't perform to our expectations like in CS, cause on 1440p with the epic preset we're barely able to hit 60 FPS, mostly averaging around 50 frames per second with 33 FPS as 1% lows. But on 1440p high, it is fine. But for all of the real Fortnite sweats, to have a competitive gaming experience on this game, you'd have to cut down the looks a bit and drop down to 1080p medium to be able to smell the high refresh rate experience. Because on these settings, we're able to hit averages up to 150 frames per second with 60 as 1% lows. Now, to quickly finish off the esports category, we have Apex Legends, which is a more demanding title. This graphics card delivers with its 1440p performance for sure, because on everything maxed out, we are looking at these benchmark results. And on medium settings, it is averaging around 180 FPS with smooth 150 FPS as its 1% lows. Now, dropping the game to 1080p, we're able to step up the average to 200 FPS and 165 as 1% lows. Now, finally moving away from the esports titles completely, we have GTA 5 and its insanely violent story mode. Using this chick, 1440p high settings are a breeze. We are able to stay above 144 FPS most of the time, averaging around 147 frames per second with 90 as 1% lows, providing us a very smooth and pleasant gaming experience. Dropping the game down to 1080p is not necessary, but the average of 176 FPS and 80 FPS as 1% lows will surely be more than enough for any kind of player. And I don't know if this Rainbow Six Siege bench is a fan of Poodle, but what is this? Afterwards, I reran the test on high settings instead of ultra, and there were no glitches like that anymore. Although for all of the 240Hz plus gamers out there, 1080p medium is the settings preset you should be probably looking at. And you can probably already guess that we won't be using any ray tracing on Cyberpunk, as these are the benchmark results we got on maxed out settings. But when I turned off ray tracing and set a graphics preset on ultra, we got an even lower FPS figure, which left me really confused. Then I noticed that it is set on FSR 2.1 by Cyberpunk developers when you automatically change the settings preset, although when you change it to FSR 3.0, we immediately start pushing over 60 FPS, and the gaming experience feels great too. So I really don't get why they are suggesting FSR 2.1 over 3.0 here. Forza's sweet spot on this GPU is definitely on 1440p high settings. On extreme preset, it is, I guess, also alright, but in this case specifically, having more FPS definitely feels better. Call of Duty Warzone was one of those games where this GPU managed to provide a very solid gaming experience even on 1440p ultra preset. So yeah, it left me genuinely impressed. Stalker 2 on 1440p ultra wasn't something I'd call buttery smooth. Yeah, as you can see, but both on 1440p medium and 1080p medium, it was definitely nice. Okay guys, I'd like to have a quick word with CEO of Tarkov optimization, because on 1440p high it was unplayable, and now you might be saying, okay, 1440p high, but then 1440p low, we didn't hit 60 FPS, and on 1080p low we barely hit 60 FPS while using more than 20 gigabytes of RAM and looking like this. I'm about to crash out for you. But now, okay, look at Wukong. This GPU managed to hit over 60 FPS on high settings and 2K resolution. That is with FSR at 50%, but let's just skip that because it looked really amazing. And same goes for 1080p. Using these same settings but full HD resolution, the FPS were really high. So basically, if you mainly play Fortnite, Tarkov and Stalker, I would say that RX 7600 is good, but with the asterisk that it is good on certain settings preset. But as for the other games, it is genuinely good with no asterisk. In the next video, we'll compare it to the 4060 just to figure out if you can actually save $30 to $50 or it's actually better to pay a bit extra for the team ingredient. Yeah, so stay tuned.